Do you ever feel pulled to create something completely different, but the second you think about actually doing it, you stop yourself because you're thinking, what if nobody watches? What if I lose everything I built? Yeah, I've not only been there, I'm going through that exact process right now. So today, let's dive into talking about switching your niche. Hey everybody, welcome back to the studio. My name is Shellda. I'm a photographer and a podcast host. And this channel is a real behind the scenes look at building something as a creator. And today I want to talk to you about something that doesn't get talked about enough in the content creation space. That's switching your niche. At some point as a creator, you feel it, that pull to do something different. Maybe your content starts to feel repetitive. Maybe you've outgrown it, or maybe it's just a little bit of burnout that starts creeping in. Or maybe there's just something else that you want to talk about a little bit more. And that's exciting, like really exciting. Because for the first time in a while, you're starting to feel creative again. But then that excitement starts to get replaced real quick. Because now the thoughts start to come in of, my audience didn't subscribe for this. What if my views drop? What if I mess up the algorithm? What if I lose everything that I built? And then the really scary question is, what if I lose my subscribers? And that right there, that's fear. And it's real, because the truth is, when you do switch your niche, your audience might not actually follow with you. And this is the part that no one really talks about. You see, switching your niche, it really has a cost. You might lose views, you probably will. You're probably going to lose subscribers, and you might post something that you're proud of and it just completely flops. And that's going to be normal. I think that's actually pretty expected when that happens, especially when you've spent months or years building momentum in one niche and now you're switching it to something completely different. I've felt this myself. You see, coming from paintball, I built an audience over there for the last 4 years. And over the last 3 years, I've won Photographer of the Year 3 years in a row. I've worked with a ton of brands, I've had a bunch of brand deals, and I grew a pretty decent following. From that, I started a podcast, and that took off like wildfire in the paintball community, aka a really small niche. But then I started to feel this pull to talk about creating and storytelling and like the real life stuff that we all go through. And it was so exciting to think about. But at the same time, there's this voice in the back of my head that has always been like, you're about to ruin everything. Like, what if I don't find the same success I had there, where I won awards, built this huge following? What if I don't have that here? Would I be a failure? Should I do it? Should I stay what I'm used to doing and just kind of rinse and repeat it? And I really struggled with those thoughts for a while. But here's what I've started to realize. If you ignore that pull, you might keep your views, you might keep what you're doing, but throughout that, you're eventually going to start to lose your passion. And then eventually, that's going to start to show up in your content. And what I've started to notice, and I see it myself watching other creators, people can feel when you're not fully in it anymore. And that's part of the magic of content, right? Like, people feel engaged, they feel a connection to you. And so your viewers will sometimes know when you're not fully invested in something before you even are. And as scary as that sounds, it's actually a really cool thing to be able to listen to your audience. And so what I've learned over the past few years, no matter the success, whether you have it or not, if you're enjoying the content that you are creating, you should work really hard to try to always make that your priority number one. So then the question becomes, well, what's worse? Is it losing some views and subscribers temporarily, or is building something long-term the thing that actually feels more like you? Because if you stick with something just because it works, you might win in the short term, but eventually, like, that burnout is going to start to creep in, and then that long term won't actually be a long term because you're going to end up burning out and then you're going to quit. So the reason I wanted to have this conversation and kind of open up, give a behind the scenes look up to what I'm going through is, I'm going through this currently right now. Over the last few weeks, I've been mixing in some vlogs where I'm trying to grow as a vlogger. And yeah, they've been pretty clunky. I haven't really dialed in my camera settings yet. I'm still really nervous talking out in public. And so some of those are, well, they're really messy. But the thing is, years from now, when I look back at that, I'm going to be so happy to see the progression of what I was when I started versus where I will end up being. And along with the vlogs, I've also been sprinkling in some other content to help other creators like you. And since doing that, well, my views have tanked and I've lost a ton of subscribers. So for the past few years, I was used to getting thousands of views on almost every single video or podcast that I put out there. And because I'm starting to switch my niche, I'm lucky if I get a few hundred on each of my videos. So yeah, it sucks. I totally get it. But then something shifted, like something just clicked in my mind. This one question came into my mind and it just really changed everything for me. We spend so much time thinking, what if it doesn't work out? But we almost never ask ourselves that other question. What if it does work? What if switching your niche is the actual thing that just unlocks everything? Like maybe your audience is where it is now and it's amazing, but maybe by switching your niche in a few years, maybe a few months, your audience explodes, like the growth takes off. And then from that, you'll have even more fulfillment than what you have now. And like I mentioned, right now, since switching my niche from a really, really small, tiny niche within a niche of the paintball community, it's been insanely challenging. But this week, I've been shifting my mindset more to what if it does work out? And like talk about crazy timing with everything. Once I started to switch my mindset and believing that it will work out, I literally got an email from my first brand deal. So like the timing of this is just wild. So it goes to show the importance of making sure your mind is in the right place. Now I say all this to say, you don't have to go in all in overnight. Me, I'm the type of person where I do want to go in. I want to go 150% all in. But the thing with content is it takes time. It's a transition. And the best analogy that I've come up with over the past few months is it's like driving a cruise ship. You know, if you have a cruise ship and you're docked at port, but you all of a sudden have to turn it 90 degrees, it's going to take a lot of time and energy to turn that giant cruise ship all the way over 90 degrees from standstill. And that's kind of like switching your niche when you're creating content. It's going to take a ton of time to really start to move your current audience to whatever your new audience is going to be. And while you're starting to switch, you can do some small tests here and there. You can put out different video ideas that you have to see if they hit, see if the audience likes them, and slowly start to introduce new content. But at some point, you'll have to be willing to like finally commit and take that risk. For me, it took months of a really slow burn, but now that I'm on the other side of it, just like the most scary things that we do in life, I'm so glad I did it. So if you take anything away from this, it's this point right here. Every creator you watch on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever platform it is, at some point, they've made a decision to stop playing it safe and they decided to press record and go all in with the content that they're creating. And sometimes they make a shift to go to a whole new direction, and that's where their channel explodes. Sometimes overnight, sometimes over a few weeks, and sometimes it takes a few years. So if you've been feeling that pull lately, this is your sign. Not to rush it, but start to listen to it and maybe, just maybe, take one small step towards it. All right, thanks for stopping by the studio and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.